Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're talking about the one, the only, you guessed it, Turbo Toad token. All right. But before we jump into it, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do coin fashion of the day. Firstly, because this one's absolutely hilarious. Okay. Bought Peanut at 25K market cap. All right. Peanut went to like hundreds of millions, if not like 2 billion market cap at one point. We could even see this very quickly. All right, Peanut the damn squirrel, okay, went to 2 billion market cap. The reason why I'm putting a lot of emphasis on this, yeah, like pretty much 2 billion market cap, is because he bought it at 25K. So I don't know how much this person put in, maybe like assume like $100 or something on pump, because the meta was right. But he sold for a loss when he saw the guy showed his thing on OnlyFans. Okay, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, I get it, but you got to remember, we're in the crypto world, we're in the meme coin world. This whole like pump narrative, this whole like meme coins, you could even debate Turbo to a certain extent, which I would say way less because Turbo's actually certified. Turbo has so many accomplishments. It has 100 plus exchanges. It has a lot, right? It has a lot. But dude, the crypto in general is seen as degenerate. Meme in general, investing in meme coins is kind of like, it's degenerate behavior because you're literally buying a joke coin, right? So this guy sold it because this guy showed his wee wee on OnlyFans. He kept refusing to buy back in over and over again because he sold for a loss, which sucks because in theory this guy could have made like 10,000x, if not even more, right? I didn't even know, 250K is 10x, 2.5 million is 100x, 25 million is 1,000x. Oh my god, and the numbers just keep going. 10,000x, 100,000, like less than 100,000x. Obviously, that's in theory if he would have kept it that long, but damn, I'm afraid, I'm afraid that's might be generational fumble of all time because of PP. But anyways, let's jump into the technical analysis of Turbo. Actually, we're gonna do the basics first. We're gonna cover the basics first. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, right? This is slightly pre-recorded, but the data still should be valid. That's because I'm gonna be out all Sunday. We can see, ladies and gentlemen, rank 166 out of 9,495 active cryptos, 302 million market cap, 36 million volume, 90% community sentiment. So absolutely fantastic. Let me vote that. Let me vote that. And let's see this while this loads. In the month, ladies and gentlemen, we're down only 1.65%, right? So we've really recovered. We've really, really turned things around. Right, only down 1.65% in the last month. We're up 12.5% in the last 7 days, and in the last day, we are down 4%. So a little bit of red in the last 24 hours, as we can see, but I don't think that's necessarily that bad, unless, of course, Sunday is going to be a brutal red day, right? Of course, we will have to see. We see the holders have been growing very, very slowly, roughly 10 to 20 a day, so nothing too crazy. Got to remember, we have already a respectable amount of holders at 57,000. Of course, we want to see it grow more and more, but at the end of the day, people, right? Bandwagon, right? All the bandwagon is going to happen on Turbo eventually. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the time to get serious is now. The next few months are going to be the most crucial time of your lives. Okay. We're going to have crypto exploding, and this is the time to get a portfolio review. Right? You got to make sure you have the right cryptos. You don't want any old or dead coins, or you don't want anything that can give you little profits, right? So we provide a portfolio review. We've also been smashing it with the high probability meme coins. We hit an 11x, an 8x, and 5.5x in recent times. We also provide a weekly report on the crypto data, on the crypto analysis, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, on other altcoins as well. You get all this and a bunch more other benefits. Highly recommend joining the private community. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make some money. What we can see, right? We can see last week we had a nice reversal candle. This week is so far, it's been solid, right? We are getting some type of pullback right now, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's over, right? It doesn't necessarily mean, okay, full on correction again, doing something like this, for example, right? Doesn't necessarily mean this right away. but it does mean that we are going to have to see how we are going to be respecting this zone mainly. Now, the reason why I choose this zone, ladies and gentlemen, is because we can see when we go in on the lower time frame of 4 hour and we zoom in a little bit, we can see we have this double bottom. We have a higher bottom, a higher bottom. So we can even technically afford to retest, right? Retest this whole entire support and resistance, right? What was once a resistance is now going to be support. And as long as we're pretty much closing above this zone, there's no real issue. There's no real issue, right? Of course, if we close pretty strong and aggressively on the Sunday, then of course that could indicate some short-term pullbacks. But you got to remember, we have federal rate cuts happening practically in a couple of days. So I expect things to look very, very good. I expect things to play out very, very good. So I'm not worried. I am not worried. Okay. Let me just say that. And, of course, on the monthly, we are kind of just, okay, this makes sense. We are rejecting off of this zone right over here, which obviously has been kind of where we have been closing the last few months, right? In terms of buying candles, we had April close here and we had July close here. So the fact that we're rejecting off the zone, it's not really that surprising, right? It's not really that surprising. And the fact that we're selling off this daily candle, actually, it's like literally a doji candle, which does show reversal signs, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean the reversals have to be long lived. So, all of this does make sense in my opinion. We are still technically in bullish structure and everything is looking solid. Look, shout out to Sage Bolts, right? Shout out to you. I see your comments sometimes on Twitter or in the Discord. Um, you know, shout out to you, man. But you can see, look, the 3-day chart. Notice anything familiar? Expecting a push 0.01 plus in September. And we can see, right, this is a 3-day chart. And it was just very, very slow and kind of fundamental. And we can see a little bit of rejections even here, right? I know it's hard to see, but there was even a little bit of rejections on the 3 days on a 3-day chart. And all of a sudden, boom, big rally. And we can see there's a little bit of rejections here too. Nothing too crazy. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, right, the momentum is coming. The momentum is coming, and it's really, really exciting. We have quarter 4 coming up. And yeah, quarter 4 is going to be exciting. Now, I will say this right away. I don't think, what we experienced in the beginning of last year, technically this year, this whole thing right over here, I don't think this is going to be the same thing that plays out again. I believe it is going to be like that, but in reverse. So whatever happens here for the next 3 months, let's say we get up to this point, possibly, right? Possibly, then I believe we will get this type of structure, but in reverse, and we will be pumping up. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we have been going sideways for so damn long. We retested, right? We really, really did retest. And, just even global liquidity is looking good. Obviously the federal rate cuts are looking good. So, there's a lot of positive. There's a lot of positives. And I really do believe, we see Bitcoin dominance struggling at this key zone. Bitcoin dominance struggling at this key zone, multiple weeks of failing to pull up, and we're kind of breaking past this zone. So altcoins should start seeing, right? Altcoins should start seeing some type of glory over the next few months. Like they really, really should. So yeah, that is ultimately it, ladies and gentlemen. I love you guys so much. I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.